So in our previous lab, we have seen how do you set up a Jenkins server, how do you set up an Apache Tomcat server, and how do you do a service connection between Azure DevOps and Jenkins, and then how do you do a CI on CI on Azure DevOps and CD on Jenkins. Now in this lab, everything remains the same, but we are going to do a CI on Jenkins and CD on Azure DevOps. It's going to be a reverse one. Okay, so as usual, I'm going to dev.azure.com, and then I'm logging into my Azure DevOps account, and then I'm choosing my project DevOps demo 1. I'm going to my pipelines because you have already set up service connection, service hooks, and everything. Now I'm just directly going to the pipelines, and then I'm clicking on new pipeline. And as I told you last time, there are two options to create a pipeline. One is YAML, another one is Classic Editor. So I like Classic Editor, which is going to be pipeline without YAML. So I'm clicking on Classic Editor, and my code still remains on the GitHub. So I'm just choosing a GitHub, and if you see, it is default authorized to your GitHub account. So I'm just choosing my project, and then a branch is chosen, then clicking on continue. And last time, if you remember, since we have done a CI on Azure DevOps, we have chosen this Maven template. Now I just need my CI to be running on Jenkins now. So I'm just going down, and then just choosing a Jenkins template over here. When I click on apply, by default, if you see, the Jenkins template is created, and here it will ask you for a job name. Okay, and this is the service connection name, which you can choose it over here. And this job name is nothing but your Jenkins job name where your CI has to run. So now what should I do? I should go to my Jenkins. This is my Jenkins, and I just created a job now called as Jenkins CI. And then when I click on configure, I'll see, like on the source code management, I have just linked it to the GitHub, and then I'm choosing a master. And on the build, I have just clicked on this, and I have chosen my top level Maven because my project is a Maven project. I've just chosen a Maven, and then I'm giving the goals. Like if you remember, the same goals we have given last time on Azure DevOps. Now we are giving the same goals on Jenkins side, and then clicking on save. That's all. This is going to be my CI job on Jenkins, and this job name is Jenkins CI. So I'm just copying this job name, and then I'm putting it over here, and automatically the job name will be populated, and then the output of that Jenkins will be copied to this Azure DevOps, and it will be published on our artifacts. Now I have already created this job, so let me show you that. So which is like Jenkins is a CI and Azure DevOps is a CD. When I click on edit, if you see, I just have the same jobs, and the job name is Jenkins CI. I have just given it. So the job will be queued, and then the artifacts of war file, jar file, everything will be downloaded to this artifact staging directory, and it will be published to our artifacts. Now when I click on queue, I told you I can choose my agent option. So I'm just choosing Ubuntu 18, and if I want to give any commit ID, I can just give it. And when I click on run, what happens? Again, the agent, it is queued, and whichever agent is free, it automatically starts it. Now what happens when that Jenkins job is being started over here? Let me show it side by side. Let me have it like this, and let me have it like this. So now when you see it, the Jenkins job is being kicked off. So I just started a job on Azure DevOps, but it is starting the job on Jenkins. If you see, the first job is running over here. So when I click on this one option and console output, I can see the job is done. So if you see, it is success. So now what happened, this output and everything will be copied. If you see, basically from Azure DevOps side, people will be thinking like the job is running on Azure DevOps, but from Azure DevOps, using the service connection, it is connected to Jenkins, and Jenkins is actually running the job over here, and this output will be copied back to Azure DevOps, and it will be stored in our artifacts. Okay, so now when you actually go one step back, we can see all the areas over here. Okay, now what happens, we just need to create another job called a CD job, which is going to be your release job. I'm just going to the release option, and then here I just need to create a new release, and this new release is nothing but, again, I'm just taking an input from my Azure DevOps build. So this is going to be my build, because from the build only I'm just copying the artifacts. Okay, I just need to copy this, and this is going to be my production step. And here you have this option of choosing your deploy to Tomcat server. Similarly in Jenkins, if you remember, we have this option of When I go to configure, I'll show you. We have this option of deploy to container and war file and ER file for the Tomcat, and I'm just giving the Tomcat URL. I'm just giving the Tomcat credentials over here, and I'm just giving what is a file name. Similarly, there is a plugin available in Azure DevOps called deploy application to Tomcat server. So I'm just giving the Tomcat server URL. I'm just giving the username and password, and then I'm just giving where is a war file name. Okay, and Tomcat version is 7 and above for us because it's 9. So here, what I can choose, I can just choose the war file over here, and in this case the war file is not being properly copied. That's the reason we are able to get this error. But when this war file is being properly copied, and then when you create a release, automatically we can see the new release is being created, and this is being failed, as I was telling you about, because the war file is not being copied properly, because it will say like it is not able to find the war file. Okay, so I will try to rectify this, and then I'll try to rerun this job again, and then I'll show you the same output on Tomcat server. Okay, but this is just the process that we need to do while copying the files from Jenkins as a CD and Azure DevOps as a Jenkins as a CI and Azure DevOps as a CD. Okay, so if you guys have any doubts or anything, please feel free to reach out and have a practice on this, because this is quite easy. If you are able to do one step, it will be easy for you guys to do the other steps as well. So just try to this, and then let me know if you guys face any issues, and I'll try to rectify this, and then I'll show you a complete output in the next lab. Okay, so as I promised to you on our previous lab, I have found out what was the error, and then I have rectified it. So if you remember, we have started this job which is Jenkins as CI and Azure DevOps as CD. Okay, and if you remember, we have just chosen the same template. I didn't make any of the changes over here, but the only thing that I have added is, like, on the Jenkins perspective, I just went into the Jenkins job, and then I did a configure, and here on the post build actions, I just clicked on archive the artifacts, because this job on Azure DevOps is actually trying to get the artifacts. So it says like download the artifacts produced by Jenkins. So it is trying to copy the artifacts from the Jenkins and then paste it in our Azure DevOps. And from the Azure DevOps, it is being copied to the release pipeline. But on the Jenkins side, I failed to add this step, which is archive the artifacts. So without this, Azure DevOps will not know where the artifacts are being stored. And in our case, we just need to archive this war file as an artifacts. So this one step, I have just added it, and then I clicked on save. So now what happened? I'm just trying to come over here. I just didn't do anything. On the release pipeline, again, I just went inside, and then I just clicked on edit option. Like last time I just showed you, this is going to be my artifacts, and this artifact should be from my Jenkins CI Azure DevOps CD. So this is going to be my build pipeline name, and always the artifact should be the latest one, or I can just choose which option. I just need to specify it at the runtime. And then this is the source alias, you don't need to worry about it. And this is going to be my stage, so I'm just going to deploy it on the production stage. Okay, and here I just chose the agent as Ubuntu 18, and then this the step which I told you last time. I'm just going to give the URL name of Tomcat. I'm just giving the username and password, and this war file is nothing but the war file which is being copied from the output of this. Okay, when I click on this triple dot option, I can see the output which is copied from the Jenkins to this particular target location. This is a web app.war. I'm just choosing that, and I'm just trying to choose Tomcat server 7 and above. So all my release pipelines and the build pipelines, everything is now set up. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to this build pipeline. Okay, and I'm going to start this job now, which is Jenkins as CD and Azure DevOps as Jenkins as CI and Azure DevOps as CD. So I'm just clicking on run pipeline now. I'm just choosing Ubuntu 18, and then I'm clicking on run. So now what happens, when you see here, job number 4 should automatically start. Okay, so let us wait, and we'll see the job number 4 should automatically get started. And once if the job number 4 automatically gets started, then it has to run. See, the job number 4 is started, and automatically the job will run. Now the job is completed, and this output will be automatically copied onto our Azure DevOps. Now see, download our artifacts and everything. Now when you come one step back, and here you can see one artifact is published. When I click on that, I can see the drop location, web app and war file. So this is a war file which I copied from this last successful artifact. This war file I'm just copying to Azure DevOps and I'm keeping it in my Azure DevOps artifact. Now what happens, automatically the release pipeline will get started. So when I click on this release pipeline, now if you see, fourth release, which is going to be my release pipeline, and it is automatically started. And this is going to be your continuous integration and continuous deployment. I did not do any of the manual steps. Automatically when I clicked on a CI button, it connected to Jenkins and the Jenkins build started, and once the build is completed from the Jenkins, artifact is copied from the Jenkins and then it is reversed back to Azure DevOps, and then automatically the release pipeline started and it is automatically successful. Now when I click on this, I can see the steps, which is download artifacts from the Jenkins. So it is downloaded and I'm deploying an application to Tomcat server, which is done, and then I'm completing the job. Now when I go back to the Tomcat server, this is my Tomcat server, and then when I click on that button, or when I actually, so this is going to be my welcome page of Tomcat and my application name is web app. So when I give web app, you can see the output, which is being automatically copied. So this is how you can do a CI on Jenkins and CD on Azure DevOps, or you can do CI on Azure DevOps and CD on Jenkins. So in this case, we have actually used 4 tools. One is GitHub, another one is Jenkins, another one is Azure DevOps, another one is Tomcat server. And I hope this is going to be your wholesome package lesson where you have learned how do you integrate GitHub with Azure DevOps, and how do you integrate Azure DevOps with Jenkins, and how do you integrate Jenkins with Tomcat, and how do you integrate Azure DevOps with Tomcat, and how do you create a service hooks, how do you create a service connection. Lot of things are combined together on this particular lab. So please practice this lab and the before lab, because this is going to be your exact real-time scenario in your organization. If you are able to do this successfully, both labs, which is Jenkins as CI and Azure DevOps as CD, and Azure DevOps as CI and Jenkins as CD, you are almost a complete DevOps engineer. So please try this and then let me know if you guys face any issues, and I'll be happy to help you guys across. Until then, thank you.